SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Come see your locally owned and operated Linton Glass for all your glass needs. No matter what glass you need to replace, you can count on Linton Glass. Call us today at 601-835-4336 or find us on the web at lintonglass.com.
And now,
Sports.
Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. Glad to be with you. Our guest this morning is the head coach of the Red Hot Southeastern Louisiana Ladies Softball Lions, Coach Rick Freeman, and Dr. Britta Stevens-Belanger just got the job as the assistant basketball coach at Northwestern State. In the studio with me this morning, the young gun back. Hey, Wes, good to have you, man.
Good morning, gentlemen. Glad to be here.
And the professor is with us on loan from I don't know where, but he's on loan from somewhere. Mr. Neil Randall, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great, Robbie. Glad to be with you guys this morning.
Let's go to work. We got a lot to talk about this morning. First thing in the NFL draft last night, of course, the first-round choice, Fernando Mendoza, goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. Ty Simpson goes in the 13th pick to the Rams. And the Saints, first-round choice, Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. What do you think about the Saints choosing Tyson? Yeah, Wes, since you're a season ticket holder of the New Orleans Saints?
Robbie, I like the pick. As we sit here today, I don't love the pick. With Caleb Downs being on the board, I would have chosen Downs. I think he's a cleaner prospect because the medical concern with Tyson is real. But if he can stay healthy, the pick has the potential to be a home run because he was the most polished and talented receiver in the draft.
Neil?
Well, I don't know that much about Jordan Tyson, but he's highly ranked, and I think if what's his name? Olave, if he stays there, that would give him a really good 1-2 punch on either side of the field. Obviously, Mr. Tyson's very talented, and we wish him the absolute best of luck.
I was late getting back home last night and didn't see the draft and was kind of keeping up with it on my phone. But when I got back home, I went to the New Orleans Saints Facebook, there's a page, and there was all the experts telling me how good and bad the pick was. And that got me nervous because they say, but just about everybody's saying, when he's on the field, he's going to be excellent. But now, when somebody starts off a draft choice by saying, when he's on the field, that has to scare you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the injury history and concern is real. It is a real concern. But as I'll remind everybody, Marshawn Lattimore had the same issues, and he went on to have a very nice stretch in New Orleans.
Well, they give the grades for the Saints' first-round choice, Jordan Tyson, B, B+, and C. Again, a little nerve-wracking there to see no A's in that group.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Big Ten comes in with the most draft choices in the first round at 10, SEC 7, ACC 7. Surprised, Neil, that the Big Ten had more first-round draft choices than the SEC?
Well, I saw that last night or this morning. I forget exactly, but you think back in the last 2 or 3 years, the Big Ten has really stepped up. They've won a couple of national championships with Michigan and Ohio State. But I'm sure the SEC will be coming back soon. But 7 in the first round, not bad, but it's just not what the SEC is
10.
used to. It's not double figures.
And you said it was 10 for the Big Ten?
10 for the Big Ten.
Okay, how many of those were off of Ohio State?
Most of them.
That's what I thought.
And the SEC had 7, but the ACC had 7 also. So just not the normal dominance you get in the first round of the draft normally from the SEC. Let's go again. I'll get away from the Saints. Let's get back to baseball in the season now. A couple of weeks ago, I asked the question, who's in, who's out? Who's going to host the regional, who's not? We had pretty strong feelings that Southern Miss had it, Mississippi State had it, and Ole Miss may or may not get in. Where do we sit here today? Is USM on host the regional?
If they take care of business, Robbie, yes. Now they have created themselves no room for error. They've kind of left the door open a little bit, but as we sit here today, I think they still host. The interesting one is State and Ole Miss. Their fortunes have changed quite a bit.
Total flip flop.
Mississippi State going to host the regional?
That's just so hard to say with the SEC schedule the way it is. What do they have? Four more series.
4 more.
Mm-hmm. 4 more series. Ole Miss got Georgia coming to town, and you know what Georgia did to Mississippi State in Starkville a few weeks ago. That's just. I think both of them probably will, but it's going to be a rocky road between now and when they assign those regions.
What I think I think one of them will get one, but I'm not sure. We have no history to prove that the NCAA is going to give the state of Mississippi 3 hosts. It's never been done before.
That's true.
If the one that don't get a host, let's say, will they be put into one of the Mississippi regionals?
Well, it would have to be ours if we hosted and one of the others didn't, because it can't be in each other's. So I would say the odds of that are probably pretty high.
16 or 24. What number is it in the college football playoffs before you see the complete demise of the bowl system?
Well,
we're at 12 now.
We're at 12 now, and it's already teetering, so it might only take 16.
I agree with Wes. I think the bowl system is pretty well shot, and has been for a couple of years. It just nobody wants to go to these bowls, and we don't even know who they are or where they are most of the time, and it's hard to get them on TV, and you try to watch one, and they never pan the stands, Wes, because nobody's there.
Nope. They're all made for TV these days. That's Attendance is way down on the list of priorities.
And ESPN owns most of them, don't they?
They do.
Let's go stay at college. Of course, now the NCAA is hoping to get passed and get approval on 5 full seasons in 5 years, no red shirt. Will it get passed, and how will it affect college football, Wes?
I think it'll probably get passed, and I'm pretty much okay with it, Robbie. Most guys are getting 5 years and more these days anyway, so go ahead and make it 5 for 5 and remove a lot of the questions, and just let's roll with it.
Well, I think that would be an improvement, but I don't know if in this day of litigation that we live in, I don't know how long it would take to get that in effect. And I think it'd be a good thing. It'd be an improvement over what we got now, for sure.
No doubt.
Will the portal numbers drop if you have 5 for 5 because they'll have more time to develop players?
From a development standpoint, no. I don't think the portal numbers drop because nobody wants to get developed anymore. They want to go get paid. So development is not their concern.
Will it help high school recruiting if you have 5 for 5?
I'm not sure, Robbie. I really don't know. Maybe.
It couldn't hurt it any more than it's been hurt now.
I agree with that.
I will go back to something, and this is one thing that I've been kind of paying attention to more and more on YouTube and a lot of these so-called prognosticators of knowing of all. They're starting to talk more and more, guys, about it may be as quick as this year that you're going to have a group of players who were promised money that's not going to be paid because the money was not raised. If that happens, are you going to have for a certain team, a group of players who's just going to say, we're not going to play this week, we didn't get paid?
I would say so, yeah. I think that's very likely. And what'll be interesting to see is what lawsuits come out of that when that happens.
Deal?
That's like Wes said earlier. They're there to get paid, or they're not there to get developed. They're there for the dollar. And as our buddy Reese used to say, follow the dollar.
Well, it's not going to happen to the winning teams because the money's going to keep coming. It's the team that don't start as well as they anticipated, that all these big dollars and pledges have been made, and all of a sudden it's not coming in. Is that the team that's going to get stuck?
But will it happen? Will it not happen to the winning teams? I mean, the vine can only drop so much fruit, and I mean, at what point do even your big guys, the return on investment is, well, I just can't keep throwing money to renting a player.
But the people love to be associated with winners, Wes. They want to be able to tell Wes that I gave so much money to this team because they're winning. They don't want to tell you they gave this much money because they're losing. So to me, it's the teams that don't make the expectations, may have the biggest heartache coming up. And I always thought it would be a couple of years down the road. Now you're seeing more of these people talking about this year, there's going to be somewhere this is going to happen. So I'm surprised that they're talking about it happening as quick as it is.
Yeah, and like to your point, yes, it is harder to continue to dump money into something that's not working. That's a tougher sell, and I'm like you. When the promises aren't fulfilled, that's when things are going to get real interesting.
Mr. Randall, any final brilliant comments?
Well, I can't be real brilliant, but this is the world we have produced. We can't blame it on anybody but ourselves, and we keep sending more and more money, and I think these donors are getting a little tired, especially the ones that aren't winning championships.
Final thing this morning before we go to our first guest, Josh Hubbard, the 3-time Connolly Trophy winner, says he's returning to Mississippi State for his final season. You surprised?
Yes and no, Robbie. I'm sure he had his options, but he is a Mississippi guy, and he stays steadfast to that. So kudos to him in a world where that doesn't happen very often.
I'm not surprised at all. I have my doubts about him playing in the NBA. Now, he's an outstanding athlete, a great basketball player, but he's 5'11", but he's special, but he's not that special, I guess is what I'm saying.
Our guest this morning will be Rick Freeman, the head softball coach down at Southeastern Louisiana University. Has those Lady Lions playing at top-notch levels, already the Southland Conference regular season champion for the first time in SLU history. And we'll also talk to Dr. Britta Stevens-Belanger, who just left as the head coach of Colin to move on to assistant coach at Northwestern State as far as the women's basketball goes. We'll come back. We'll talk more right after this. Well, good morning. Welcome back to Chasing Foul Balls this Friday morning. Good to get a little rain, huh, Wes?
I hope so. We need it.
Tell you what, I need to play one more high school playoff game before we get any rain. I need to get this thing headed the right direction, that's for sure. So we call it Coach Rick Freeman. Just talk to him. We'll have him on with us just shortly to talk about Southeastern. One other thing, as far as before we get to him, LSU's chance. Will they make a region, or is this going to be the first year in no telling how long that LSU baseball will actually not be in a regional?
They've still got a chance, Robbie, but it is a slim chance, very slim. They will pretty much have to go scorched earth and rack up a ton of wins here down the stretch to make it happen, I do believe. But as we sit here today, I do not think they're in.
It will be tremendously unexpected to see an LSU baseball team not make a regional. Especially
one that had as much early season clout as LSU did. I mean,
number one.
That's a mighty far fall from grace to go from number one to not in the tournament field. It has been a strange year in Baton Rouge. That roster, I still believe, has the talent, but just for whatever reason, they have not been able to put it together.
When you look around and you talk about what's going to happen and what will happen at all, is baseball going to carry the excitement that we expected, the baseball regionals and super regionals? Because it has been a very exciting time with baseball. Is that going to continue, or is baseball starting to level out?
I think so, Robbie. I think certainly, in our part of the world down here in the deep South, I mean, I think we're college baseball junkies down here, and I don't think that's going to change. The players involved and the teams involved in the postseason might change, but I think we're just baseball fans down here. So I just think we'll tune in and we'll be as engaged as ever.
When you look around, Neil, what we talked about, the news in high school hadn't quite been what we expected. Not much news out of the high school coaching ranks. One of the few we got yesterday, that South Pike boys and girls basketball coach Reggie Chambers has stepped down.
And he's been there, a year or two now? No more than that,
I don't think so.
I don't think he's been there long. And of course, this is the time of the year for folks to step down, although sometimes football coaches, high school or what have you, will leave before Christmas so they can move on. But I found that interesting that Coach Chambers was giving it up. I don't know the gentleman, but apparently he's done a pretty good job. Won district there last year. Of course, they were in 3A last year also.
When we talk about the draft from last night, Wes, what do you think the Saints will do in the second round today? Will it go offense again, or will the Saints go defense?
I think they'll flip defense. They've got a real need at defensive back, whether that be corner or safety. They really need somebody to fill that nickel spot. So I would imagine you'd see them go corner probably in the second round, and maybe edge rusher in the third if there's one there they like. I personally wouldn't mind seeing them go guard at some point in all this, just to have somebody to push Cesar Ruiz at right guard. But I do think early on tonight you will see a little defensive flavor out of the Saints.
Well, come back. We'll try to talk to Rick Freeman. I'd get him on the phone right now. We'll talk with him right after this. You listen to Chasing Foul Balls right here on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. 101.5. Having some problems with our phones here in the studios with a chance to get Coach Rick Freeman on the phone, but we'll keep working on that and see if we can't get it working out and get him and Coach Belanger on the phone. We could talk with him just a little bit later. Wes, what do you think on as far as the Saints and the faithful of the season ticket holders, how they're going to feel?
Oh, I think excitement is high right now. Everybody is very encouraged. You feel like you hit last year with Tyler Shuck, and right now it's from the season ticket holder standpoint, it's build. Let's build around Shuck and let's ride. Let's see where this goes. So, I think the season couldn't get here soon enough as far as season ticket holders are concerned.
I agree. I was not real optimistic going into last season with the Saints, but once, as Wes said, once you got Tyler Shuck under center as the starting quarterback, he proved that he was the right choice, and very optimistic about what's to come. But like you say, they need to pick up some talent here in the next couple of days.
And Shuck is another example. We talk about the medical concern with Jordan Tyson in the first round. Well, just here recently last year, we had all these same talks with Tyler Shuck, and as it went down the stretch during the season, it didn't seem to matter. So hopefully that's the same idea and the same outcome for Jordan Tyson at number 8 overall.
As we sit here and take a look at the season winding down in college baseball, who do you think's going to finish the strongest? Wes, will it be Southern Miss? Will it be Mississippi State? Will it be Ole Miss, who seems to be the highest team right now, or will LSU get hot down the stretch?
I hate to say it for all my brethren in Baton Rouge, but I'm afraid LSU is done. I think they're finished. They might try to get a little warm towards the end of the year just for pride's sake. It's hard not to pick Ole Miss right now of that much because, Ole Miss is on fire. The talent in Starkville is there. I'm not quite sure why they floundered a little bit because there is plenty of talent on that roster. But if I'm picking one right now, it's Ole Miss.
Neil, what do you think? Where you going? Ole Miss? Is that going to be the team down the stretch?
Well, that's so hard to say. Right now, you would have to say yes, but we also know there are a lot of pitfalls in that schedule. There are some outstanding baseball teams in the SEC, and it could be Ole Miss, but at the same time, it could be Mississippi State coming back because, like Wes said, they are loaded with talent. And of course, you got LSU down there, who probably has as much or more talent than anybody in the country, and they are floundering. So go figure. It's too much talent and too much competition to make a safe pick. It'd be a shot in the dark.
And schedule has a lot to do with it, too.
Yes.
And we know LSU going down the stretch has a tough run. I think Ole Miss maybe has a tough run, although I wouldn't say it's as tough as LSU. I'm not really sure what State's got left. But I would think, just guessing from who they've played, they might have the easiest path of the three. So, catching people at the right time is all about is the name of the game when getting hot.
And there are no easy paths.
No, not at all. Not in that league for sure.
Did you see the Jake Mangum video that's gone just wild on the internet of him throwing the ball to the young lady and her brother catching it?
I did. That was pretty cool. Now, as I said when I saw later, what you don't see is did that little boy and little girl get in a little tussle afterwards, and the boy just, I'll just take my baseball back then. Did that go down?
It wasn't his brother and sister, and the funny, I reckon that Mangum knew him. He had met him at an event. So he knew who they were, And now it's gone so wild on the internet, the president of the Pirates have made the offer to the family. They go to set them in there in the suite.
Yeah.
Plus the kids are going to go on the field and see bad practice and meet Mangum and several other players and all that. But they just kind of showed the looks of a Mangum and the way they go.
And what was cool, if you saw the video, the most excited one in the bunch, I think, was the dad standing up there behind him. He's jumping up and down like he's just won something. So that was a cool scenario, very cool to see.
We'll come back. We'll talk to the assistant basketball coach at Northwestern State, Dr. Britta Stevens-Belanger, right after this. Chasing foul balls on this Friday morning here in Southwest Mississippi. SuperTalk Pike County 93.5. On the phone with us, Dr. Britta Stevens-Belanger, the assistant coach at Northwestern State. Britta, did I get all those titles in there?
You got everything correct. New last name and everything. Can you hear me?
Excuse me, we just have a few troubles with our phones here this morning. Britta, what was the decision-making as far as leaving this head coach of Colin to move to the assistant coach at Northwestern State University?
Well, that was a very difficult decision for me to make. I wasn't sure that I ever wanted D1. And it was something that just kind of fell in my lap. The fact that Dylan was already there and he was an assistant baseball coach at Northwestern State was just kind of the icing on the cake and kind of made the decision for me. So it's going to be different going back in an assistant role, but I'm excited about the challenge.
They say, Britta, you learn something at every stop you make as far as becoming a head coach and how you develop that philosophy. Let's step back. You started at Salem as a high school coach, head coach. What will you take from Salem that has been in your development as a head coach?
Ooh, I probably learned more at that job than I've learned at any job. I think the biggest thing I learned there was to be patient, and to learn to really teach, to slow down and teach players. Don't make mistakes on purpose. Sometimes they make mistakes because they don't understand. And so that was a big thing I learned there because I had so many young kids who had never played. I really had to slow down and teach and learn to be patient. Patience is not one of my better qualities, so that's one of the things that I really learned from that job.
You had two stints as far as assistant coaches at community college at East Central and at Southwest. What did coaching at a community college give you as far as guidance to become an assistant coach on the college level?
Well, you know this, Mr. Robbie, very well. Being an assistant coach at a community college, you kind of become a Swiss Army knife. You have to do a little bit of everything: coach, recruit, be a mom, be a counselor, teach a few classes. Sometimes you got to sweep the floor. That's just how it goes. And so all those experiences that I got doing that have kind of prepared me to be able to do whatever this job throws at me. I was really fortunate at East Central and at Southwest that I worked for two head coaches who kind of gave me the freedom to do what I wanted to do and needed to do and didn't hold me back and pushed me to, be better in my career. And so I'm very fortunate for that.
When you made your stop at Southwest, did you expect to be there for 10 years?
Honestly, I didn't. I didn't know how long I was going to be there. I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know I was going to get into coaching as a career to begin with. And then I got to Southwest. I got comfortable. Brent and I were really well together. My dad had some health problems, and it just kind of worked out perfectly for our family. It allowed me to be able to be close to him and help take care of him. And Brent was great to me. He treated me like not as an assistant, but like an associate head coach type. And so we had a good thing going there, and it worked really well for 10 years. And when the job at Colin came open again, it was time for me to move on and do something else. But this job, because it was close to home, it allowed me to be able to take the next step in my career while still being close.
Will you be able to bring all those contacts that you developed in the community college world here in Mississippi as the assistant coach and recruiter there at Northwestern State?
Yeah, I do think that'll be a big thing, just having connections here in Mississippi, not only with the community college coaches that I've worked with, but also with all the high school coaches that I've worked with. You know, one of the things Coach Fry really wants to do at Northwestern State is try to recruit regionally, you know, try to stay within Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, kind of that South region. So because a lot of them are not familiar with Mississippi, my connections here are going to help us be able to recruit this area.
Coach Belanger, I almost called you Coach Stevens. This is Neil Randall. Congratulations on the move up to Northwestern State, where you will be a lady demon, I suppose.
A lady demon.
Well, watch that now.
Yeah.
You say that.
Mr. Rogers might say it's a very fitting title for me.
I fixed to say, he goes with some of the things we have called other women coaches.
But Coach Belanger, what do you think the biggest adjustment you'll have to make when you get to the Southland Conference there in Natchitoches?
You know, I think the biggest adjustment is going to be recruiting. I've been recruiting Mississippi high school kids and pretty regionally, mostly just Mississippi and then the few out-of-staters. But recruiting is a nonstop monster. You have to recruit all the time. And now we can recruit not only nationwide, but, you know, all over the country. And we're going to have kids from other countries coming in. And so I think that's going to be a big adjustment for me. Just not, you know, I knew a lot of the kids. I knew their high school coaches. I knew their backgrounds. And so that's going to be different, not knowing everybody and everything.
Britta, this is Wes Nutter here. Thanks for joining us. In regards to recruiting, how much difference does a big budget make compared to junior college recruiting?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what our recruiting budget at Northwestern State is. I have a feeling that it's not going to be considerably bigger than what we had at the community college. What I've seen so far, and, you know, I'm kind of working back and forth between the two jobs right now, but what I've seen so far is a lot of our recruiting at this level is through the transfer portal, you know, watching film and getting on the phone and talking to people. I don't know that we'll be going as much, you know, to watch Tuesday and Friday high school games. I do think we're going to spend a considerable more amount of money just flying kids in and doing visits and things like that. So it should enable us to get more recruits and better recruits, but I'm still learning.
You say you're still working the two jobs, so are you continuing to try to fill out the class for Colin?
No, I'm just more or less tying up my loose ends and filling in the remainder of my contract here at Colin, kind of doing whatever they ask me to do. I think they're getting ready to kind of move forward and hire someone. The class is almost done. You know, we have 3 returners, and we've signed 7 freshmen before I left. So really, there's 2 out-of-state spots left. And, you know, we had some kids on the hook, but when this call happened, I just felt like I should not sign that someone else coming in should do that.
You had a little extra draw to go to Northwestern State, didn't you?
Yeah, you made it a little more sweet that I knew somebody that was already on the staff there. You know, living there and already had a house there and things like that.
All right, now you don't tell Dylan how to coach baseball, and will he tell you how to coach basketball?
Well, we already do a lot of that in my house, except I don't understand a lot of baseball, and he doesn't understand a lot of basketball. It drives him crazy when we miss free throws. That's the only thing he ever says. You should have won. You should have made free throws. I'm like, well, yeah, if y'all would hit the baseball, we'd win, too. So, I don't know if this is going to be good for our marriage or bad for our marriage because we're not used to being together all the time. So we may kill each other is the reality of the situation. It's going to be a definite adjustment for both of us as well.
Have you got moved to Natchitoches yet?
No, I have not. You know, I've kind of gone over for a couple of days and met the staff and seen where my office is going to be and things like that. And then I was back here at Colin this week. So I'll go to Natchitoches this weekend. Dylan's got a home series and just kind of fill some more things out. And then I'll be back here in Weston next week.
You played at William Carey. How did those years help you grow into taking this coaching profession?
Well, I was going to law school. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I was not going to coach. My parents had both been coaches, and I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go to law school. I'm going to make a bunch of money. I'm not going to be stressed out. And then someone offered me a job. Bill Smith called me and offered me a job, and I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. And then I realized, I'm not going to get to play anymore. That's kind of all I've ever known. And then when I started taking that job, it was kind of like, hey, I kind of like this. I kind of like the flexibility and not having to put a suit on every day and just being able to do that. So I think just loving the game, loving the game as a player and then learning to love the game as a coach. It's way harder to be a coach than it is a player because as a player, I knew what to do and I could get on the floor and do it. As a coach, you can't do that. You have to try to teach them what to do, and they don't always get that.
Well, I know a lot of lawyers are glad you decided to become a coach because I think you would have been a very fierce competitor as a lawyer.
I don't know. Some days I'm glad I did this, and some days I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe I should have gone to law school. I can tell you one thing. There's never a dull moment in my job. Every day is different, and it's always on my toes.
3 years as the head coach at Colin. Do you feel like you got as a better coach each year? Did you learn things every year that made you a better head coach at Colin?
1,000%. Brent and I joke. I'll call him every now and then, and I'll complain about something, and he'll say, just want you to remember that time you yelled at me about that or about the way I handled that. He's like, it's way different when you're in that head coaching chair. And I said, yeah, it is. I learned so many lessons because as an assistant, you think you know how you're going to handle things. You think you know what you should do. But as a head coach, when it comes across your desk and you've got to deal with it, now you're going, okay, what do I do? What's the best way to deal with this? How are we going to win games? Who puts us in the best position to win games? And so all those things change so much as a head coach. I think my first year when I got here, I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, and I do think I got better. Making decisions in games is hard, and, you have to do it quick, and the game changes so quickly, and recruiting, and it's a hard job, but it's a fun job, and so I hope I got better every year. Obviously, our record says we were better every year, so I would like to think that we did get better every year.
Not only on the court did you have great players and they progressed to be signees at four-year schools, you were really successful at getting your students to graduate, and that's so important at the community college level.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the thing I'm most proud of because we did a really good job both at Southwest and both here at Colin with graduation and academics. A lot of that didn't have a lot to do with me. It had to do with the quality of kids that we took on the front end, and it had to do a lot to do with, at Colin, at Southwest, our Student Success Center and those people. And here at Colin, I'll be honest, it had a lot to do with my assistant, Coach Rachel Thompson. She kind of oversaw that and helped make sure that everybody was doing really well in the classroom. So I don't get all the credit for that. The kids get the credit, but I'm really proud that I did have a hand in that.
Coach Belanger, this is Neil again. When do you anticipate moving to Louisiana, and what do you know about the Southland Conference and the Northwestern State program?
So my anticipated start date there is sometime in the summer. I'm going to say end of June, 1st of July. I don't know exactly when that will be just yet. They've had really good teams at Northern State. They've had a lot of coaches who've coached there and moved on and climbed the ladder. They finished about 4th or 5th in the conference last year. They graduated a lot of players, so we're having to start over basically with a completely new roster, which is going to be challenging. But, I think as far as resources go and as far as facilities go, we are very competitive with everyone else in the conference. Most of our trips in the conference are drivable, Texas, Louisiana, and because of Dylan and his coaching in baseball, I kind of am familiar with the opponents, where they are, what's in those towns, and what we're up against in recruiting.
You're working for Alan Fry as the new head coach. What do you know about Coach Fry? Where did he come from? And what do you see in the style of play for the Lady Demons this year?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I had only ever met Coach Fry 2 or 3 times before we kind of got this going. He and Brent worked together when Brent was at Southeastern, and Coach Fry, he worked at Tulane for 18 years, so they kind of knew each other, and I had met him one or two times through Brent Harris. So he spent 18 years as an assistant at Tulane, did a year as an assistant at Monmouth, and has also been at Loyola in New Orleans. So this is his first head coaching job, but he's a veteran coach despite that. I think you're going to see us play fast. I think one of the things he really wants to do is pick up and guard 94 feet and try to put a lot of pressure on people. I think he wants to shoot the ball a good bit. That's one thing we've looked at, is try to get people who can really shoot it. So those pieces are coming together, and that's one of the things he's talked about, in some of our staff meetings, is we're not going to know exactly who we are until we get all the pieces of our puzzle together, all these, different recruits and things like that. So you think you know what you want to do, and then you have to figure out what you can do based on the team you have.
Coach, that sounds like a real crossword puzzle to me, but I know y'all will be able to handle it. Do you have any talent coming back to the Lady Demons?
We do. We have 3 returners who will be back. All of them played a little bit. One of them played a good bit. 2 kids from Texas and 1 kid from Zachary, Louisiana. So those 3 will be back. And they're really great kids. I've met them a couple times, and they've just been really high-character kids. So I think they're a good group to build the nucleus and create a culture for a new staff with.
Well, I think you're moving to a really good town. Natchitoches is a real interesting little town there on what they call a river, but it's not a river, I think.
It is not a river, and it's a very wonderful town, very, very similar to Brookhaven or Macomb, so that part of it makes me comfortable. I tell people, y'all know Steel Magnolias was filmed in this town, and my husband looks at me and rolls his eyes because he's never seen the movie, and I'm like, I don't think I can talk to you. It's one of the greatest movies. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever recorded.
We agree, absolutely.
Now, the question is, can you spell Natchitoches?
I can spell Natchitoches. Do you know the only reason I can spell Natchitoches?
I'd like to know, because I can't.
When we had Gabby Cortez at Southwest, when we recruited her, I had to learn to spell Natchitoches because I was constantly writing Natchitoches Central or Natchitoches, Louisiana. So I got tired of looking it up, and I said, dadgummit, I'm fixing to learn how to spell this city. So I do know how to spell it.
Well, you got one step on top of me, that's for sure. Every time I look at it, I say, well, how in the world do you spell that? Let's go back to one other stop before we finish this interview. Your dad was a big influence on you as far as coaching. Your mom, both of them into the coaching business. How much of an influence was the parents on Britta in coaching?
Probably pretty big, even though I didn't really know it. They were never the type who they didn't push me to coach. They didn't tell me you need to go in this. They didn't really care if I played or not. They supported whatever I wanted to do as far as playing and coaching went. But when you come from a coaching family, you talk a lot of basketball at home, and there would be some nights, especially after the Colin games, when I would go visit them or go to dinner with them or whatever, and they'd want to talk about the game, and I'd go, guys, we got to talk about something else. I know we got beat. I know we didn't play very well. We got to talk about something else. And so they were really good about that, but they were also really good about me calling and going, hey, what do you think about this? Or let me bounce this idea off of you. Or, do you know this coach? And so their background and them understanding what I was doing, it made everything about this job easier because they understood the recruiting. They understood when I told them, hey, I'm going to be there, or I'm going to come have dinner with you guys. And then I had to call at the last minute and go, I've had something come up. They got it because they had been in this profession before. And it made it easier being a coach's kid in Mississippi, knowing all these high school coaches, and a lot of my connections with them were because of my mom and dad. Made it easier when I walked in the gym to recruit because I already knew those people. And so I think even though I didn't really know it when I started in this, their influence was immeasurable.
You spoke of that as the next question I was going to ask you. How was it playing for mom and dad in high school?
Honestly, it was good, but it was stressful a lot of the times because, and I've told other coaches' kids this, when everybody else goes home, they just go home and they eat dinner and they don't, the game's over with. When we went home, we ate dinner, but we had to reanalyze what did we do and why didn't we do this well. And should we have done this and how can we win and things like that. But again, they were really good at compartmentalizing. When we were in it, we were in the thick of the season, we talked a lot of basketball, but that wasn't what our whole world revolved around. When we were out of season, we did a lot of other things, vacations and fishing and things that we all enjoyed. So it wasn't like our whole world revolved around that. And I think I'm lucky because a lot of people don't have that work-life balance. I love basketball. I love coaching it, and I love it when I'm there. But when I'm not there, I got a lot of other things that I like to do, and I think that's really important to have that balance of being a real person versus just being a basketball coach.
Well, did that give you a lot of advantage as far as being in the coaching business, kind of knowing when to talk about it, when not to talk about it, what you wanted to talk about as far as outside of the coaching area?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's even one thing that we've taken into our marriage. Dylan and I, since we both coach, after the game, a lot of times we don't text each other or we don't talk to each other, especially after a loss, because we both understand, hey, she needs a minute or he needs a minute to decompress, and we don't want to talk about this. And even at home, like after a loss, I'll tell myself I'm not going to bring the game up unless he does. When he brings the game up or when I bring the game up, then all gloves are off, and we talk about it. And but I think because of the way I was raised, because we knew that sometimes we just didn't need to talk about it, it made it easier for me to transition into this.
Well, where does Northwestern State baseball play this weekend?
They're at home. They're playing Stephen F. Austin, so they're a pretty important weekend series for them as far as playoffs go. They're having a really good year, and so we're kind of third, fourth in the standings, and we need to get a win this weekend.
When does basketball start for Britta and Northwestern State?
So our kids will come in July for the July summer session. They'll come in for about 2 or 3 weeks in July just to get their feet under them, take a couple classes. And then obviously in August when school starts, we'll get started really hard. Season starts in November. I haven't really seen a schedule. I do know that we will be hosting Kim Mulkey and the LSU Lady Tigers sometime in December, so that's kind of exciting. I'm a little nervous about that one as well because we all know that LSU will be really, really good. But we'll have them in Natchitoches sometime in December, and then we will start conference play sometime in December. So I know in November we've talked about we do go to Oklahoma, to Oklahoma State, and to Arkansas. So we're going to have some big-time tests in front of us.
Well, good luck, Coach. Enjoyed talking with you. Look forward to seeing you over the summer.
Sounds good. I appreciate you calling and letting me guys hang out for a few minutes.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Britta Stevens-Belanger, the new assistant coach at Northwestern State University, former head coach at Colin of the Lady Wolves, and a former assistant coach at Southwest Mississippi Community College with Brent Harris there. They teamed up for 10 years to have quite a run, Neil, as far as women's basketball at Southwest.
I'll tell you what, they really did. And, of course, Coach Harris has been here, 15, 16 years now?
Been a minute now.
And he has been super successful, very competitive, always a pleasure to come watch his teams play.
Well, that'll do it for another Friday morning here on SuperTalk Pike County, 93.5, Chasing Foul Balls. We're trying to get Coach Rick Freeman rescheduled. I really want to get him in to talk to him. The Lady Lions, 42-11 overall down at Southeastern this year, 22-2 as far as Southland Conference play. The regular season champions. They had won 25 straight earlier this year before they lost a game a week or so ago, but really wants a chance to talk to Coach Freeman, so we'll try to get him back on. That'll do it for this Friday morning. Chasing Foul Balls is right here on Super Talk Pike County.
Started to play my favorite song. I just found my baby and I want to get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. up all day. Before the night we'll let the music play. You remember how it used to be. I love the way that you would dance with me, rocking and rolling till the clock unwinds, and then we'd holler out one more time. Don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. Well, the band just started to play my favorite song. I just found my baby and I wanna get a chance to hold her. So don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over. I said don't turn out the lights, don't turn out those lights, don't turn out the lights, the party ain't over.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.